Have you ever driven by your freeway and saw a bunch of tents? Well, I have, and I'm here to tell you about the life that these homeless face on a day to day basis. From my perspective, I see the struggle that these homeless face, and twice a year, I spend money out of my own pocket to go out and buy essentials like socks, scarves, blankets, tents, sleeping bags, whatever the case may be. It's sad that the majority of the homeless community is sleeping on the bare ground with nothing to cover them except for a jacket over their heads. I have been told numerous times to just leave me alone because many of the homeless are giving up on life and they just want to be left to pretty much die because they're not stable enough. For those who are homeless or about to face homelessness deserve to have a second chance at life and be provided with the shelter and care that they need. Many people who are homeless have no place to sleep except for on the streets, a park bench, in front of a store, or even under a bridge. According to the article, Addressing Homelessness by Nathan Manga and Jonathan Griffin, written in September of 2016, states that each year in the United States, approximately 3 million people spend nights without shelter, and 1.3 million of whom those people are children. This means that more parks, stores, and encampments are being flooded with homeless. The population given, they have nowhere else to go. The local, state, and government needs to really make a change in providing more shelters, food banks, and to get these homeless just off of the streets and provide them with a roof over their heads. Today, I will be discussing the struggle that the homeless face on a day-to-day basis, the effect it has on our community and business owners, and how the local and state government can put more effort into providing funds to make these shelters and create food banks for these homeless. According to the article, Understanding the Impact of Homelessness on Health and Well-Being, written by David H. Crane, who's a board of the directors. He mentions that statistics show that homeless children are more likely to develop various physical and mental related problems. These, in turn, can have a huge impact on their likelihood of lacking access to education, accompanied by greater exposure to trauma and instability during their upbringing. A study from the Boston Medical Center on the effects of housing instability found that being late on rent and having a homeless child further increased the likelihood of mental health issues to occur. On top of all the mental health issues associated with homeless are physical health problems that homeless populations experience, much like HIV, AIDS, lung disease, malnutrition, and wound and skin infections. All of these are all leading factors to mental and physical health problems because of the homeless population that goes through several days without eating, drinking. They have no water other than like rivers or maybe going into a public bathroom. According to the article, What to Know About the 2022 Greater LA Homeless Count, was published back in February 22nd of 2022 and states that in January of 2019, the Los Angeles County had 58,936 people experiencing homelessness. But in January of 2020, that number then rose to 66,433 homeless. Well, what are some causes of the problem, you may ask? Addiction, job loss, mental health issues, these are all ranked as the top three leading causes of homelessness. You may never know the true story as to why someone becomes homeless. Maybe they were in a toxic relationship. Maybe they just had to escape and they had no close family or relatives. So now they're on the streets with little to no money in their pockets and they're suffering. According to the article, LA clears another park encampment in battle of worsening house crisis, states that due to the complaints and casting votes to remove homeless encampments around LA, these homeless were being forced to leave the parks around the surrounding areas, such as the MacArthur and the Eco Park. People started to feel unsafe about these homeless, thinking that they carried some kind of sickness, while other officials had mentioned that gang related violence in the area had made the park more dangerous for homeless residents. But it's not that they wanted to live in the park, but they had no other choice. After the park's closing, a few shelters had opened up to bring in about 200 to 300 people off of the streets and place them with a spot to live. But this is only a few hundred people out of the millions of people that are facing homelessness. 41,000 plus that are still fighting to find shelter, to have a roof over their head, and get off of the streets and from living under a bridge. Well, some solutions to the problem that can help get these homeless off the streets. First, the local and the state government, they need to provide more fundings into opening more shelters and food banks to help get the homeless off the streets. They can provide shelter, which giving the homeless a second chance to life and to get them back on their feet. In the article titled Challenging States, that 120,323 people, or about 20% of those who are experiencing homeless, have chronic patterns of homelessness. This means they have been homeless for more than a year, or they have had multiple periods of homelessness. The preceding 3 years, the great majority of those who are chronically homeless is almost about 64% of them who are unsheltered. By getting the proper medical care or rehabilitation they need to better themselves, it can provide them a second chance. If the homeless can seek medical or rehabilitation care to help with their mental illness and their drug addiction, it can help get them the better education that they need and help them get a good paying job. In the article, No Way to Find California's Homeless Crisis, written by the Pacific Research Institute by Carrie Jackson and Wayne Weingarten, had stated that rising homeless is a humanitarian concern that produces public nuisance, such as the homeless blocking crosswalks, blocking stores, and other public entrances. In conclusion, although we may not be able to help every single person who's facing homelessness, we alone as people all over the world can step up and help make a change in ending homelessness. We can donate to organizations that actually help in providing these shelters for them to live. Imagine you only had one layer of clothes on your body, no roof over your head, and no change in your pockets. You would probably feel depressed, stressed, and a huge amount of emotions throughout your body, just like they do, and nobody else would care for you. So let's step forward and make a petition to the local and the state government to create an organization in providing these shelters and food banks, to clear these homelessness off the streets and give them that second chance at life. When providing these shelters and these food banks, it's a huge jump in success in providing care for the homeless and helping them become a better person. They need this education. They need to find work. Don't give up on them. We need to fight for the success of the homeless. Thank you.